Hello and welcome back to the second instalment of the Multi-Track Drifting podcast with me, Loza, and my boy over there, Ollie.
I'm the boy over there.
Because Pete can't be bothered to come to the podcast now. He actually has a job. Well, I have a job, but you know what I mean.
He's doing something sensible.
Yes. Right then, now play that funky music, white boy.
Buddha's name be praised.
Buddha's name be praised.
Buddha's name be praised. Buddha's name be praised.
Buddha's name be praised. Buddha's name be praised. Buddha's name be praised.
Buddha's name be praised.
Buddha's
name be praised. Buddha's name be praised.
Buddha's name be praised.
You need to start a GoFundMe to get you a chair.
Well, now I'm sitting in a camping chair.
Exactly. Get you a chair that doesn't squeak. And also we need to get Pete a proper microphone so he knows the struggle that we have to go through on a daily basis. To put up with making good quality sounds. I don't know why I'm hitting the desk.
It's peaking your microphone.
I know. I can see all the little things where I hit it. Anyway. Yeah, so Pete, as I said, isn't here this week because he does work.
He's doing something sensible with his time.
Yeah, productive, some might say.
Mm.
But yeah, we just watched a film called Shaolin versus Lama. Unfortunately, it's not that Lama.
It would be great if it was Shaolin versus Lama.
Yeah. It's more like a Lama like the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, well, I never actually thought of that throughout the film. I always thought it was, how the Kung Fu is based off animals.
Yeah.
I assume maybe they had llama style, but I don't think there's llamas in China.
I have no idea. Somebody else can look that up.
I think they're purely a North American, South American phenomenon.
Yeah, it's generally in South America that they're seen.
The more you know.
So yeah, so we just got finished watching Shaolin vs. Lama. It was a decent film, I'd say.
It was alright.
The first half was a little slow, but I think the second half sort of picked up. It fell into the usual trappings that Kung Fu films do, where they didn't really deal too well with the female character.
Oh yes.
I think, was she the only female character in this?
There were a few more in the fight initially. She was part of that brigade of fighters, but she seemed to be the only one, at least with a character.
Yeah, she's only named and stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, as I said, it's Shaolin versus Lama. It's called Shaolin do Lama. Not the most easy to translate title in the world, you know?
No. Why? I do wonder why llama and the Chinese use of the word llama is the same it's the same word in English. Maybe the word for the alpaca-like creature came up with by someone separately to whomever translated the Chinese.
The Pachin Lama is a tulku of the Gelug school of Tibetan Buddhism. The Dalai Lama is traditionally involved in recognising the Pachin Lama and the Pachin Lama. No, that doesn't seem like it's the entire order. I don't know. But yeah, I guess the plot basically of this film is you get some exposition at the start with some mediocre fighting going on in the background about sort of the creation of Shaolin Kung Fu.
They were fighting in space.
Yeah.
Maybe they were the cosmic gods of Kung Fu, and their dance of fighting was what created Kung Fu in the beginning. Maybe that's a bit too much of a fan theory, but
there's not much. No.
It's just a game theory. Game theory.
You said that wrong.
I know. It's just a theory.
A game theory. Thanks for watching.
You did it better.
Yeah. Anyway, so we then immediately introduced to the main character, wanting to join this school of Kung Fu.
What's his name?
I don't remember. I know it's said right at the start. That's the annoying thing.
His defining characteristic was that he had never been defeated in battle, and he was
5 years.
For 5 years, and he was looking for someone to beat him up.
Yeah, he was looking for a kung fu master who was superior to him. Which, I mean, that's kind of a bit, because you could be technically more skilled, but physically less capable, and therefore lose.
Yes.
But it would be worth having the more technically competent master as your guy as your master than it would have the physically more competent.
Public service announcements. We're not reviewing a gay porno.
Anyway, so they have their fight. It's middle of the road for what we've seen.
Yeah, the fighting wasn't particularly
good.
Well, it was alright.
Yeah,
nothing
I said
to
it was.
stand out.
The first sort of half of this film, the fighting's a bit meh. And the plot's just sort of. It definitely feels like it's a slow burner. But anyway, so then after that we get a scene of this guy dropping some fireworks into this group of gamblers to sort of steal their cash, basically.
I wonder if that was a thing in China in
Probably.
days long past. You just chuck a bomb at people.
Well, it was just some basic firecrackers. It wasn't anything too dangerous.
I suppose not.
You
Kids don't take that too lightly.
yeah, you can do some things. Oh god, I've seen videos of firecrackers. Sorry, I'm getting Vietnam style flashbacks to this one. Well, not Vietnam, but
People being harmed by firecrackers.
Okay, so I saw this. It's probably a GIF or a video of this kid lighting off firecrackers in his mouth,
Oh dear.
and it just blew his lips off.
Oh my.
Like it was just like the lip was just hanging. Don't play with firecrackers, kids.
No, that's rather graphic. I gotta say, I did see this rather amusing GIF. I think it was of this guy, and he was, those things that they launch like bombs out of. They like slot them in, and then they go, and they sort
Mortars.
yeah, like it was him loading a mortar, and the moment he drops the bomb into it, that you just see an explosion, and it's kind of. I mean, there's nothing gruesome about it because you don't really see him explode or anything, but you just see the explosion. But it's really funny because it zooms in on him slowly putting it in, and then.
Yeah. Well, there's no for a mortar. There's no controlled detonating method. There's no
Really?
switch to fire it. Yeah, literally, when you drop it in, it fires as soon as it hits the bottom.
Oh really? Oh.
Yeah, like the detonator's essentially on the bottom of the thing, whereas obviously like a cannon. I mean, obviously a traditional 15th century mortar would have been a same setup as an actual cannon, basically just aimed upwards instead of out.
I see.
Anyway, back onto the actual. See, we drifted off track again.
Multi-track
Immediately.
drifting.
So, the main hero guy basically runs into this guy as he's running away from the guys he stole cash from. He's like, give the money back. So he gives the money back, and then.
Because
The
it's
guy
the
just-
true Buddhist way.
Well, he's not even a Buddhist.
No, but he's convinced to by the Buddhist guy, isn't he?
No, not at this point.
Oh, right.
You don't even know he's a Buddhist yet.
Okay. I suppose we can't comment on what
He's just
we
doing
don't
the
know.
right thing. Well, yeah. So then the guy's like, oh, so you're looking for a Kung Fu master? I know there's this Kung Fu guy. You should go here. And
He leads him to a tree out in the countryside.
yeah, and they just watch these guys who are a set of complete fakes, which I pretty much called immediately from the start as like
It's the return of the
guys from Horse
Horse
Boxing Co.
yeah, and their what was it, nails or something?
Yeah, like punching a nail into a wood and not getting cut by a blade, stuff like that. And the guy who leads them has a pretty thick Yorkshire accent.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you can imagine he goes home to a pint of gravy every night.
He sort of sounds like someone from a Victorian costume drama,
Yeah, like the estate manager, kind of.
whipping his little work
Yeah.
children.
But he isn't he isn't that high ranked that he's even allowed in the house, in the proper house of the, or proper manor, I should say, of the rich main characters. Anyway, so the guy challenges him to a fight, and it's revealed in the fight that he's obviously a fake. But at this point, I noticed the fight was weirdly sped up for the entirety of it.
Was this the... No, this wasn't the first time we found the amazing compression artifacts in this film.
No, oh god, yeah, it's just really, I don't know.
We'll get onto that in a bit.
It would be like you'll see a punch and then it would just freeze frame essentially, but then obviously do that weird colour weird thing, and it was a bad export essentially. But anyway, yeah. So this fight was just weirdly sped up. Like sometimes in kung fu fights, you'll see them speed up a section of it to make it look fast. Whereas Jet Li's kicks and stuff are generally speaking sped up. Not Jet Li, Bruce Lee's kicks were generally speaking sped up. I don't like Jet Li. But then you'd have the sort of non-kick sections where it wasn't. So you got this feel of it actually being fast in comparison to other stuff. Which isn't just speed up the entire fight. It's just like you just need to fit into the runtime. But I will say, putting a Benny Hill theme over it goes really well.
And conversely, every other fight in this had slow motion.
Yeah, they actually did.
Up the butthole.
Actually, in some fights, especially towards the end, they flick between slow motion and speeding the footage up.
And accompanying the slow-mo fights was this tape distortion effect on the audio. Like it was... I can do it like this.
Choppy, basically.
Choppy, yes, as they punched each other, which is not really happens when you slow down audio, but kind of a weird stylistic effect they went with. It was kind of distracting, but I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was endearing.
Yeah,
but it's one of the things because this was again dubbed over here. We don't know if that was added by the English company or was in the original Chinese.
Who knows? Yeah. I'm starting to wonder if these English dubs were actually produced by the Chinese companies because they all seem to have the same voice actors.
I don't know. I'd have thought it would more be a studio would buy the film rights to distribute over here or in America and then would have their own internal dubbing house.
I know, but it's weird, but they all seem to have the same sort of accent,
Yeah.
It's hard to describe, but they all sort of have this... maybe they're all from one county in England. Maybe. Yeah. They're all British as well. I've never encountered one where they're voiced in English, but they're by American actors for some reason. Yeah. Isn't that odd? So, where were we?
Right, so... After this fight, it's then revealed that the guy who tried to rob the gamblers was actually a Shaolin monk who can do some sick ass parkour. We're talking fucking like Altier.
Run up the wall, do a backflip. There was a lot of backflips in this film. Every other character did a backflip. There's even a bit where there's some Shaolin monks training, and they can do a backflip like that, like the wheel of a car going round and round, really, really quickly.
And there's a scene where a guy just backflipped away, just like exit stage left backflipping.
There is one character in this film whose locomotion consists entirely of backflips, and it's amazing to behold. Take it back when I said the action scenes in this movie are a bit boring because all those backflips make up for it.
So then, after he's said that, he basically I don't know, I'll get my master to train you since he's really good at kung fu. Which to me begs the question. Why the fuck did we just sit through that first fight scene? Not first fight scene, but, So they break into the temple because he's not a Shaolin monk, so obviously he can't go visit the temple. Then they speak to the master.
The master who lives atop a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just this, old, kooky, weird Shaolin master. Basically, imagine an unpervy Master Muten Roshi. Actually, well, it would be Master Muten, it would just be Muten Roshi.
Now, he won't train him because, the guy who wears blue, that's who I'm going to refer to the main character as, who is looking for someone to defeat him, is looking for a master to defeat him. Yeah. And the master, quite easily defeats him.
Yeah, up to this point in the film, it's this guy's actually... You thought, okay, this guy's actually pretty good. He's got a good set of basics, has quite a range of styles he knows. Nah, he's pretty damn shit, to be honest.
And the master will only train him according to his Blue Man's friend. The master will only train him if he gives him a damn good cooked chicken.
Yeah. It's like they use the chicken to lure him over. And then once he's eating the chicken, they try and fight him, and he kind of tries to, learn the moves that this guy's doing.
It's not explained how they get the chicken. I assume they just slaughtered one.
Yeah. That or... Because the guy seemed to have money. He was willing to obviously pay for martial arts schools. Yeah, then we're given the backstory on basically who the antagonist of the film is. And
Tell which I can't remember.
Oh, damn it. No, basically it's the master of the Shaolins once got in a fight with the master of the Lamas and killed the Lama master. Then one of the Lamas infiltrated the Shaolins, learned all their Kung Fu and then stole their Kung Fu book.
Ah, the precious book.
Yes. We're back to the book.
Then he stole the pages from it. Then he stole the pages from it and put them in cages. And now ukulele have to go and get them.
I'm going to slap you. What? But yeah. There's this bit where like he's overlooking some of the Shaolins do Kung Fu, and then one of the like upper ranking monks sees him. He's like, "Oh, fuck off!" Basically.
Yes, go away. You can't do Kung Fu.
Yeah. Then there's this scene between a load of these like gangster guys. I say gangsters. They're
They're gangsters to us because we've now been informed of what a Chinese gangster is from these films.
Yeah.
They usually wear colourful costumes, sit around tables,
being menacing.
Being
One of them
menacing.
has an eye patch.
Yeah, I think that's a token of gangsters now. Since we saw what was it? What was the really good one?
One-Eyed Panther.
One-Eyed. What was the really good one though? What was that? Was that? Yeah, One-Eyed Panther. What was that film?
Oh god, it was Dirty Tiger.
Dirty Tiger,
Crazy Frog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I'd watched that again. Anyway.
I wonder if there's a sequel to that.
There isn't a sequel, but those two have played that sort of odd couple in other films.
We should.
So we should watch one of those with Pete.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
So yeah, these gangster guys then kill one of their masters or something. I don't really remember that scene, but then they go after this woman and all her girlfriends. The only other female characters in this film.
The Spice Girls.
Yeah.
The Chinese Spice Girls.
Basically, it's like Spice World. Hashtag spice up your life. Except it ends in 30 seconds with most of them dead. Which is a big shame. I mean, I haven't seen Spice World, but from all accounts, it's a good film.
Yeah, they definitely. Yeah, they all die in the end, and it's a great time.
Yeah. And basically, it's because they want to get this girl to swear her allegiance to the new master.
Did you ever play the Spice World PS1 game?
No, I didn't have a PS1.
It's kind of amusing if you watch it on YouTube.
Okay, I'll give it a look.
The models for the Spice Girls are sort of horrendously horrible looking.
Oh god.
Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't remember much because I was falling asleep at this first bit because I was just super tired, basically.
Are you still super tired?
I am, but I've got a second wind at the moment. Anyway, so the main hero turns up and helps to basically defend her, and she gets a bit injured. So he rushes her back to the temple to get help from the monks. Then the evil guys turn up, and the monks will fight them in what we thought looked like sort of bad 2000s. Like early 2000s CGI.
Maybe it was the compression, but
yeah, it's the vibrant colours, the blurry compression, and the movement almost looked a little stilted.
Think of it as it looked a bit like
Basically, imagine if the Polar Express was a kung fu film.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Or if you were watching a really bad, or if you were watching Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within on a really bad VHS.
We don't talk about that, Ollie.
Really? I've never seen that film. Is it good or bad or terrible or whatever?
It's bad.
Yeah.
Advent Children's better, but yeah.
I'm kind of intrigued to watch it just to see what what early 2000s hyper budget we're trying to make it look real CG actually looks like. But at the same time, I don't want to see a really bad movie.
Ollie, what podcast are you on?
Well, we watch some good movies on there.
You're running that risk, though, every week.
I suppose so.
So,
But this is in the name of science, Lawrence.
I wouldn't say science.
Well, it's in the name of some worthy research.
Narcissism.
We're learning Chinese here.
We're not learning... I said that last week. We're not watching anything in Chinese. The closest we are to learning Chinese is that I read out the title in Chinese every episode, poorly.
Okay.
The evil guys then go back to their leader, and the sort of leader of the group that went out reports back and say, "Oh, we failed," and then he just gets stabbed up by the leader.
With a dagger.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of stabbing in this movie.
Yeah.
And stab.
It is rated at 18, so...
Is it really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, that ending scene
According to what?
The picture on IMDb
Oh,
has
really?
the BBFC logo
Oh,
of an 18.
I see.
Yeah. I mean,
can't
for all I
see
know,
it.
that could have been put on there, but
I'd give it a 12.
I don't know. The ending was very violent and bloody. I'd have said a hard 15.
All right, 50.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
it's
What do you mean bloody? They were spraying blood out their mouth, but
and when the guy snapped the guy's leg off, when those guys smashed their heads in,
okay, maybe.
you know, it's the ending was very violent, and there was a little notes of violence throughout it. Well, that's something I haven't actually mentioned is this film was kind of serious, but it knew when to put in a little bit of comedy
Oh,
just
yeah.
to lighten the mood. It was quite well balanced in that respect.
Well, I mean, it's serious up until the master wanting to fight someone for chicken.
Yeah, I think the master definitely added in a lot of the comedy to it. But again, it wasn't like laugh out loud. It was just sort of subtle, bit more like out there, sort of not out there and avant-garde, but out there and a bit more like you wouldn't expect. He was a bit more of an exaggerated character. So then they go. So anyway, after the masters kill this guy, they then go after the girl. They escape to the Shaolin. I don't know what I wrote down here because I wrote they escape to the Shaolin temple, and this temple leader kick their asses.
Oh, the girl is in need of medical assistance.
Yeah, but I thought they got to the temple before that.
Weren't they being chased by someone?
Maybe it was in the middle of outside. Yeah, that's it. Now I remember. Anyway, yeah, you can see how much attention I was paying, or sleeping. So then, basically, the monk leader says he's going to kick them out because, you know, it's a woman and a non-Shaolin guy. But then the old master returns and says, nah, I'll train him. He can't be that bad. Then the guy goes through his Shaolin ritual, and who was once a very easily distinguished character for, you know, his long, luxurious hair.
And his flashy blue outfit basically looks exactly like his friend now.
Yes.
After having his head shaven, Krillin dots put on it, and mostly being shirtless throughout the entire film now.
Yeah. But then we have a little training montage, which is quite, you know, it was the sort of standard, he's trying at first and fails, but then he slowly overcomes the challenges and stuff.
Some of them are quite weird.
Yeah, like he had these wooden blocks strapped to him.
Quite a lot involved strings.
Yeah.
Having to push
Yeah.
and pull against strings.
Like, he had almost these like rubber bands attached to him, and he was trying to like go over to the master to steal some food from him or something, I don't know. And then he also fought the master with these on, so it was like resistance bands. And there's also this bit where he was doing like, he was hanging upside down doing crunches, whilst also pulling the master's hammock to rock him.
Well, the master held a string that was keeping him up, was it?
I think so. Anyway, so then after this has pretty much gone on, the villain then shows up and tries to get information on where the master is from him. They have a fight, and the villain pretty much destroys him in this fight. Like,
with lots of that thing where they their palms are open and they just it's like they're pushing each other.
yeah, slapping.
Imagine all that stuff you did in middle school with your
Yeah.
when you were you know how kids just push each other a lot for some reason.
Yeah.
That's something I always wanted to know. Why do kids fight each other so much?
I don't know.
It's so bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
They get into such horrible fights.
Well, I wouldn't say horrible fights.
I don't know. Definitely did when I was in middle school. Maybe that's what the Isle of Wight is like. Our schools are secret kung fu academies.
I doubt it, but you never know. I thought it was just like loads of lizard people there.
The lizard people have to quell their need for flesh.
If anybody doesn't know, the Isle of Wight has the guy who like writes a lot of the lizard people conspiracy theories, Illuminati stuff.
Yeah, David Icke, he came up with the lizard people conspiracy. He also is convinced that there's a secret space station in the moon, is also subsequently convinced that we're living in the Matrix, and he gave a lecture at Oxford University about this. Yes, I'm being serious. Oxford University about a space station in the moon.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No wonder I want to leave here for Cambridge, what? No, so then the villain... And the master shows up to save him in the nick of time, obviously. The villain then starts using shadow boxing, and he basically kicks the shit out of the master. But as he kicks it, it's a pretty close fight, but he has the upper hand for most of it. Then the other monks show up and scare the villain off, because probably he can't take on all of them at once, but you know.
He's kind of gagging at this point.
Yeah.
He's taken too much of the master's length.
Yeah. I think it's more to do with the master's girth itself, you know. The fight itself wasn't that long, but it was a very heavy-hitting fight. He was just pounding him constantly, you know, from all angles. See what I mean when I said this may be a gay porno?
Well,
it's not a gay porno, but it could have been.
You know what is? The Dark Knight Rises. That's the most homoerotic film I've ever seen.
Top Gun, Ollie?
I mean, in The Dark Knight Rises, when Batman is fighting Bane, he's like, Bane!
Oh, yeah. So yeah, then the Master dies of his wound. Then the Master dies of his wounds after the fight, and everyone's naturally sad. Then the Archbishop of Shaolin Tiberi is like, you need to learn to breathe properly so you can poke holes in paper. That's literally what he tells him to do.
That's the best summarization you've ever come up with.
Yeah. No, it's basically he needs to learn to use a secret technique called the Buddha Fist or something.
Yes, so he can be a hole punch.
Yeah. Because it's the only way to deal with the evil guy, apparently.
One of the few special effects that I've actually been impressed by in these movies is this guy punching a piece of paper and a perfectly round incision coming out of the paper.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not they probably did it with string or something, but it does seem quite authentic here. Seeing him punch it out.
If you didn't know it was impossible, if you were like a kid and you saw that, you would think and thought it was going to be possible, you'd be completely blown away and believe it, you know.
Yeah.
You can't see the string or anything.
Or maybe it was the VHS.
Maybe.
Maybe if they did a HD 4K remaster, you could see the strings. The chances of that, though.
Yeah. I don't even know if the original tape for this is intact.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. You should just save up all your money and buy all these tapes, Ollie.
Yeah.
There's got to be somebody out there who that is their hobby, is to buy the original tapes of these films.
The original film.
Yeah. Although it would surprise me if the film reel was overwritten at some point. Film was expensive, especially back in the day.
You can't overwrite film negatives, but I think the material used to make them can be
wiped clean.
It can be melted it can be melted into like a plastic.
Yeah.
Funny trivia. A lot of the early silent films, most of them, 90% of them, are lost because they melted them to make the plastic you see on a woman's shoe heels. It happened in Nazi Germany.
Wow.
But where were we?
At some point we get told that the woman has decided to become a nun. But,
oh yes.
Because I assume she was just staying with the nuns.
And
we don't see these nuns. Buddha be praised. Buddha's name be praised.
Buddha's name which is said about 100 times in this film by every single character.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of Shaolin monks, so it's basically their like greeting. They're Pokemon. They're the Buddha be praised.
Well, no, they say it when everything happens though. When the master dies, may the Buddha be praised. When when something bad happens, may the Buddha be praised.
Yeah, well, it's basically just like shit happens, bro.
Squirtle.
Buddha be praised. Buddha be praised.
Squirtle.
Buddha's name be praised. Yeah. So then the villain attacks the woman. A monk comes to the rescue, and this is what I don't understand, right? She has a fucking arm broken and dies from it.
She gets, I don't know, she has a lot of punches and things. And she's thrown down the stairs, isn't she?
I didn't notice that, but I just took notice to the arm getting broken, and that's what killed her.
I don't know. No, she wasn't thrown down the stairs, but they were on like a vertical platform, and they were jumping about a lot, weren't they?
Maybe.
Or maybe I was dreaming.
Yeah.
What if this whole film is just a shared dream we had, and we're reciting it?
Yeah.
Maybe you did fall asleep.
I could have done.
Maybe you're recording this podcast in your dream.
I don't know. I feel too tired to be asleep.
No. You've gotten to that point.
Yeah. No. But basically, yeah. So she's dead, and another of the Buddha monks is dead.
Everyone dies at the end.
Yeah.
No.
Basically, then the monk Archbishop of Shaolin Tiberi is like, I must go fight the villain.
Well, not before the elder. Oh yeah, the elder says that. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of these guys like, no, I'll go. You're too important. I'll go. And he's like, no, fuck off. I'm going to fight him. So there's a fight where like some of these Shaolins are fighting, and then basically the rest of these sort of important gangsters are there. The one with the eye patch specifically, and a couple of Shaolin monks. They all fight, and I remember just this bit where one of the Lamas and one of the Shaolins just start smashing their heads against each other, and then they both just die. Like, they crush their skulls basically into each other. The rest of this fight sort of happens, and the villain then manages to skewer the Archbishop with his pole, and just as that happens, the hero guy and his sidekick turn up and get involved to save the Master's life.
And the final battle commences.
Yeah. I will say, this is the point where I actually stopped writing notes, because I was very engrossed by this final fight.
Yes,
It was... So there's sort of two phases to the fight. You've got this first phase where the villain's using the Iron Body technique, and they're trying to work out how to beat him, basically. And they find out basically his weak spots under his arm, so they start aiming on that. You know, it's a very good sort of fight where you've got one guy sort of running distraction plays.
Some good acrobatics.
Yeah.
Such
And then...
as companion guy jumping on top of a guy's shoulder.
Pulling his arms up above his head, and
once they exploit his weakness,
he's like, fuck that then. And he just goes just brutal.
He shows them his final form.
Yeah.
And
like,
he does judo on them.
Like in this last fight, they're just constantly spitting out blood, and it's just, as I said, so visceral, basically. Like, very cathartic final fight. Imagine the last fight from 60 Second Assassin, but good.
Aha, yes.
You have a villain here who's decently well flushed out. Like, his motives are a bit shaky, but it's that sort of standard, you killed my master, so I am bound by honour to kill you. Mixing in with a bit of I am evil, so that he can sort of unquestionably justify his actions.
Well, he does say I am the devil at the end.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah, there's a weird bit of martyrdom sort of thrown into there.
But let's elucidate the fight before we get to the end.
They get thrown into the water basically in this fight, and then he gets kind of finished off, and it's just, like I said, it's this just very visceral sort of thing where the guy literally just stomps on his leg and breaks it.
Lots of
Yeah. Like in the sort of manner
screams
that
of agony.
When Demon King Piccolo was fighting, was using Tien as a shield and just launching the rocks at Goku, it was that kind of almost sadistic pain was being inflicted on him.
I can't remember that bit from Dragon Ball.
I'll link you the fight if I remember to. But
I think I skipped a lot of the Demon. I think I watched it up until like Tien. Then for some reason I didn't get to see a lot of the Demon King Piccolo stuff, and then I watched it. Then I watched the bit where it's Piccolo's son, and then I stopped watching it when it was that filler scene, that filler arc afterwards.
Oh wow!
Which wasn't in the manga, I might say. Everything after Goku wins against Piccolo is not in the manga.
Yeah, I will say the Demon King Piccolo saga is a really good saga. So it's kind of weird that you missed it.
Yeah, I think I saw the end of it, but not in the middle.
I think it's because it tonally is really different and a lot darker than Dragon Ball was. It was always a little bit more upbeat, whereas this was the first time a main character died, basically.
Yeah, it was the whole start of the whole thing where Toriyama just thought, every saga I think I'll kill someone. Yes, maybe two people. But they'll come back at the end.
Nobody gets killed in the final saga of Dragon Ball.
I suppose not.
Yeah, QEDC, motherfucker. But in Z, yeah, somebody dies every saga.
And then they come back at the end. So, no, nothing was lost. Nothing of value was lost.
Although, that being said, the way that they worked, especially around when the Frieza saga, where there kind of wasn't a way for them to bring everybody back. Like, the Namekian Dragon Balls were gone, the Earth Dragon Balls were gone, and it was just Goku versus Frieza, basically. In this, like, we just have to beat him because we've got no other option. Anyway, back to this film. So this guy's had the shit kicked into him, had his leg broken, and the guy's just, like, smashing at his neck. And his master's like, no, you're a Buddhist, you must show him restraint and redemption and stuff.
Mercy.
That's the word, yes.
Mercy.
And then the evil guy's like, fuck that, I am devil, I must die for Buddha.
For Buddha to exist or something?
Yeah, and he just karate chops the side of his head a couple of times until he dies.
And he floats away elegantly.
Yeah. It's just like such a weird way to end a film in such a sadistic manner.
And then you just get a wide shot and they just walk away.
Yeah.
And then the end comes up, and that's it. The end. I wonder, why is it these films don't have end credits?
I think it's just because. They I don't know, because they have
They have opening credits.
yeah, maybe it's just because where it's cut, like the people who the person who's uploading it to YouTube is just like, I'll cut this off so it will save time on exporting and uploading.
Yes, probably.
Or maybe it's just not well documented, I don't know.
Pure obscurity.
Yeah. This film was... Actually, I will say one thing. I don't know if I think I said this to...
Anyway, this is the KungFu Cast.
What I made is I may just cut this out separately and put it up as a separate video.
Yeah, we can do it.
Just like a Ghost in the Shell discussion. Or
yeah.
just like a short... we went off on a pretty long and kind of detailed tangent about Ghost in the Shell, so I will upload a separate video of that. So
yeah, you could...
The meander. Anyway, back to the film. Overall, as I said, the film was good. The ending fight scene, I think, really held my attention.
It had its obscure qualities. It had its moments. It was a romp.
Yeah.
It was a rompy clompy romp.
It was a fun film. I think I should have watched it being more awake, but you know.
I should have watched it being more drunk. I'm not drunk, by the way. I'm completely sober.
Wow.
For most of these, I've actually have been drunk.
Yeah, same. Well, I say drunk. It's not really drunk. It's more just buzzed.
Wow.
You know, like I'll start a beer. I'll have a beer with dinner. Then I'll start a beer when we start watching the film, and then I'll start a beer when we start recording the podcast itself.
That's more than I usually have.
Okay.
I usually just have one. I usually just have a glass of whatever's in the fridge.
Well, really, though, when you think I'm having that's maybe 5 units at most over the course of the podcast, basically.
Actually, scratch that. I think once I drank a bottle of wine.
I think I remember that.
Yes, was that for what film was that?
The second one or third one?
I don't know, whatever one it was. Pete was there, I think.
Yeah, because it wasn't the first one. I don't recall.
No.
Anyway, overall, I'm going to give this film a 7.5 out of 10.
I'm going to give this a roasted chicken on a spit, eaten by a Shaolin master out of 10.
Doing a backflip.
Doing backflips. He backflips to get the chicken, then he backflips away.
I want to introduce a new way of scoring for my scores. Right. I saw somebody else do this. And basically, they do this sort of... the closer to 0, the worse the film is. The higher the score, the objectively good the film is. The lower the score, So say a 0 is just a bad, outright, unredeemable film. A 10 is a masterpiece, and a -10 is so bad, it's amazing.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
So, given this new rating scale, what would you give the film now?
I still give it about a 7.5.
All right.
Because I wouldn't say anything about this film was really bad.
No, it wasn't irredeemably. It wasn't like It wasn't 60. It wasn't a 60-second killer.
Yeah, that was 2 or 1.
That was not. That was.
But this is more of a It's a solid film. I mean, they could have gone campy with it, but they didn't. But
if this film was a roasted chicken, 60-second killer with 60-second chiller.
Oh my god, I forgot about that scene.
What scene?
With the guy's foot.
Oh yes.
So when they first meet the master, he basically sticks his foot in the guy's mouth. Yes. And it's like this manky old man, hasn't been washed in weeks, kind of dead skin riddled thing.
It looked pretty real, I'm not gonna lie.
That is basically 60-second assassin.
Okay, what I was gonna say was, if this is a roasted chicken on a spit, 60-second killer was you know how chicken tastes really bad once it's gone in the fridge?
Yeah.
I find it completely loses its taste once it goes in the fridge.
It's not that bad, but definitely tastes its best when it's fresh out of the oven.
Yeah.
And it's been carved, I think you're just picking from the carcass.
Yes.
Because your mum told you can't.
Yes. So, on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z...
Peter returns, because you return in time to save us from the most dangerous meander of all time.
Meander was acting to Mickey, so Oliver had to help. I hope they don't talk too bad.
And Lawrence goes off on a tangent about why Dragon Ball Z is so good.
And Ollie goes on his... Ollie goes on his contrarian rant about how Dragon Ball G isn't so bad, yo.
I will say, though, as much as you can say it's an anime and it isn't relevant, Dragon Ball Z is heavily inspired by goofy kung fu films.
Oh, absolutely.
And
as is the original Dragon Ball.
yeah, well, when I always just say Dragon Ball Z, well, I mean the Dragon Ball franchise. Yeah. So everything from episode, I don't think they. No, from the one shot for Dragon Ball to whatever the latest episode of Dragon Ball Super is. That is what I call that all Dragon Ball Z.
I've never watched Super.
Super is actually good. The animation at the start is pretty bad, but
didn't they clean it up?
Yeah, they did. Actually, I watched a video. They compared what was wrong and how they cleaned it up, and it's quite interesting. Sometimes it's just weird things that didn't work, basically.
So some of the isolated frames I find kind of hilarious.
Yeah, it's like the face is just horrible in it. The weird thing though is that I'd have expected, like, when they were animating this, because it was all done digitally, obviously, to the people who've done everything on its own on separate layers, and then have sent Toei the actual files for it, not the rendered scene.
The what? The files?
The actual files, so that you could individually edit each layer. Because when you watch and see what they did for the changing of, like, to update it to make it look actually better, they couldn't really edit over footage. No, I don't know. Like, they couldn't completely reanimate a scene or a shot. They had to use the exact same shot and just push it to wherever they could. And
oh, I see.
Yeah.
So it was. I imagine they're just like they're just frames where they're just standing and talking.
No, it was mostly the action scenes.
Action.
Yeah, where like Goku's fighting, that it's at its worst.
Ashen 1, have you brought your wares today? Anyway,
that'll
be lost on you if you haven't played Dark Souls 3.
Anyway, we should wrap this up now. I probably should I should probably cut out the Dragon Ball Z tangents from this as well now and put that in a separate video.
I think we've made 3 videos worth of content here now.
I know. We've been recording for like an hour and a half. Actually, only an hour and 10 minutes. Fun fact for anybody watching at home: these usually record for about an hour and 5 minutes. I think was the longest we took before this, and I cut that one down to about 45-50 minutes. And that is literally just like the weird pauses waiting for each other to talk, moving times we talk over and repeat stuff. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, you're gonna have to cut as much as an emo to get this done.
Anyway, what's your fucking name, bitch?
Huh?
What's your fucking name?
My name is Orson Welles.
Fuck off.
No. My name is Olivia Wilde. No, my name is
Olivia Scott.
No,
Brown.
my name is Ollie from Solly. It's spelled OLIFROMSOLLY. If you search that in Google, you'll find that I'm a magic magician capable of summoning up many different thingies and a man of many disciplines, but a master of none.
Yeah.
I make silly music and silly arts and silly movies and all sorts of silliness.
And I'm Lozakane. I do actual apparent drawings. So yeah.
Were you just fishing for some comment then?
No, I was just like, I don't know what to say. I mean, my second wind's ending. I do drawing. Apparently it's good. I think it's shit. But, you know, Pete can't be wrong. He's totally not biased towards me.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
What, as in the thing from Dungeons and Dragons? The beholders.
You'll be a good boy. You'll be alright. I love that guy from, what was the film we watched last time? Shaolin.
Grandmaster. Frog voice guy.
Yeah, I loved him. He was the saving grace of that film. But anyway,
you can find my stuff at on like tumblr.com or lozarart.tumblr.com. Twitter is at Lozarkane. I occasionally live stream stuff on Twitch, occasionally art, and occasionally speedrunning, just video games. Lozarkane, and I've set up. I've had this Instagram for years, but I've just started posting on it. That's at Lozarkane. So yeah, follow my shit on there.
Follow, baby.
Bye bye.
Follow me, baby, to the ends of the earth.
Don't follow him, follow me.
We're going opposite directions. You've only got one choice. I hope you make the right one. Bye.
Bye.